Hey guys, Ray from loveyourrv.com, and today we are replacing the awning material. So I've taken it off already, got it down on the ground here. To get it off, what I had to do is, I decided to keep the supports on the trailer. The owner's manual said to unbolt both sides and pull the arms right off the trailer, but I'd rather leave it attached to the trailer. I'd rather not pull all the bolts out and then have to reseal it and put it back on. So what I did is I took it off while it was up in the air there. And you can see I've added some zip ties there to keep that from springing out, as there's a shock in there that would push it out. So I just had to roll it out about, I think it was about a foot or so. And then what I could do is get a pin right through here, because inside this end of the roller there's a big torsion spring that sits in there, and it'll unwind violently if you don't peg it like that. So it's a very important step. I read it says caution, serious injury and death could result, so you want to do that. Anyway, then I just cut the awning, because this one is going to the trash, obviously. It's lasted 10 years on this rig. Eventually what happened is the part that sees the sun all the time got really brittle and started to crack really badly. It started to fall apart. You can see where I taped it for a while to get a couple more years out of it. Anyway, I've got brand new awning material to go on it. So to do that, I'm going to have to unwind this spring. Now, they say it takes about 10 turns. Use some vise-grips and unwind it carefully, and then you can see on here there's some rivets holding this end cap on. So once I get that unwound and release the tension on the spring, I can drill out those rivets and pull this cap. As you see, I got to put the old awning as a bead, a wire kind of bead that goes through there and has to go into the slots to slide it all on. And then once I get it all back on and get this back together, put new rivets on there, then I'll crank up the torsion again and put the pin back in. Then my plan is to slowly, from that end, put it back along the upper channel there. So because we sit at a RV site here, we're pretty low in the front, and I have an 8-foot box in the truck, so I'm going to back the truck up quite a ways, so we use that as a place to stand, kind of like a scaffolding, and then I can use my ladder at the other end. With a couple helpers, I should be able to slowly guide that all the way back. And then on the supports, it just slides into the support with two bolts here to put it back in place. Then we should be able to, well, I'll have it pinned again, then we should be able to pull the pin and everything should work out in theory. So first things first, let's get most of this material off, and then I can start getting this off. Okay, ready to remove the tension. Put a mark here just so I know where the old awning was, so I can put the new awning at the same point. Put an A here for awning material and a V here for valance, just so I know which way the material is going to slide on. I got some 9-inch vise-grips, and I'm clamped onto the thing here so that I can hold on to something when I pull that out. Also put some just Gorilla Tape on there so I don't scratch this up too bad. I didn't actually get vise-grips that have the protective jaws. And then I just wrap this mat around here and tighten it up to my ladder so that the awning can't spin that way. Usually you would just get a helper to do it. Anyway, so we'll show you how I unwind that to relieve the tension. Okay, let's count the turns here. There's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6 maybe. So I didn't really have a whole lot of turns. I thought the awning was a little slow to come in. I bet that needed a few more turns, because for a 19 inch the manual calls for around 10 turns. So next task is to remove the rivets. So I picked myself up this thing called an arrow riveter. Came as a nice kit. Came with rivets and even some drill bits to drill out the holes. And it's a swivel. It's a swivel head and has a different chucks, so it should do the job. So I'll find the right size rivet and drill bit, and I'll drill those old ones out. Here we be. There's the big spring. So I decided to take out the motor end too. A couple reasons, so I can check the condition of the motor. Also, when this goes in, there's a spline, or the bead wire has to go in and wrap around inside. So that'll make that easy. There we go. Yeah, you can see this little bead here has to come in and wrap inside and hide in there. So if you don't take off both ends, you can't really get that in there. Anyway, there's my motor. A little bit of rust on the screws and stuff, but seems to be working. You noticed I marked there and there, so I put it exactly the same orientation when I put it back. But if you ever need to change a motor, that's all you have to do. I just unplugged it from in the awning arm there. Okay, so now we can get the old material off. So this is the replacement material. Thanks to Lipper Components for sending this out free of charge to do my installation with. This is called a Solera universal replacement awning. I was able to easily slide it on. What I did is I ran some silicone spray all the way down the channel to make it slide easy, and at this end I put a little tape right in the groove there when I was putting it on, just so it wouldn't cut the new material. Went in pretty easy, had Ann help me a little bit. I noticed though this material doesn't have the second bead for the valance. It just kind of flops over. I don't know if that's going to be a pain or not. Then at this end we have actually two cords. So I guess I'll use the top one for mine. I guess different awnings have different situations. Anyway, stuff's supposed to be fairly good material. The edge is kind of strange. It's not actually sewn or anything. Just has a what they call a heat molded end. And the one I picked was a kind of a sandstone color, and then it fades to white. So next step is I'll roll that up onto the awning, and then I can start putting my ends back together. Next, I got the awning material rolled back on the tube, and I've riveted my motor back on in place. Now I just got to do the other end where I got to wind it up again. while I had it apart, I coated the spring and the motor with some of that fluid film, just to keep it from corroding or anything like that. One thing I noticed is this material didn't have that extra bit of cord to wind and hang back in there, so I don't know if that's going to be an issue. I think if the material starts to travel, I'm going to have to end up putting a set screw or something in there, but we'll see that once we get everything in place and working. So we'll get that spring back in there and rivet that back in place. Okay, so we'll retorque that spring. It took 5 to come out. I think I'm going to put 6 back, just to get a little bit more spring into it. I know it says to do 10, but I did have the awning partially out when I took it off, so it wouldn't be as normal. So I think I'll go with 6 and see how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if I can find where it goes through. There it is. Okay, easy peasy. So I prepped the end with some pool noodles, tape, and opened the channel just a bit, just to avoid ripping the awning material as we fed it in. Also sprayed silicone down the channel. Well, there we go. Looks pretty good. Brand new awning. Gotta like that. So my little MacGyver invention worked pretty good. You can see I just took a piece of wire and soldered it up here. Put it on a bungee cord just so we could hold it while I moved along. Got this all back centered up. So we wanted to center this space on both sides on the rail there. And then I put in back the set screws back in, and then I put this back in place. I'm going to have to reseal the end piece here. Then on the roller, so let me spin that up so I can show you. Now on the roller I centered it so that equal at both ends, and just put in a set screw right at the end of that bead. Because like I said before, it doesn't have the extra length to go back inside there. Let's roll that back in. I had one other issue when I put it back together, where this thing bolts in. On that end it was sitting the right way. On this end this was actually sitting up. So somehow when I took that motor apart, put it back together, I got it 180 out. So all I did is I just connected 12 volts to the motor and then let it slowly spun that around so I could get it in the right orientation to bolt it in. This looks pretty good rolled up. Not better than that old one that was all falling apart. So the quality looks okay. One thing that kind of irks me is this edge here. It just seems to be a straight edge. It's not sewn or anything. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. You can kind of see the other side it's perfect, and this side there's a little bit of threads hanging out, I guess where they cut them. I know in my Dometic it was rolled over and sewn. Material's thick but not overly thick. I think they call it 13.5 ounces. And then at the front here, just got the single bead on the valance, but it seems to hang okay. So overall, it's not bad considering the price. I think this particular one went for $232 US. They vary in price from $200 and up depending on how big an awning you need. There's the model number, Solera, and you can actually see it says made in the US of A. Found out what this extra bead was when I looked up online. This is actually so you can install an optional LED light strip. It slides in there, and then you can go down, tuck it down, the wiring down here, and find 12 volts for it. Just an option with the Solera awnings. Give you another demo here. There you go. Another job in the bag. I'll leave links to the LCI store where this awning comes from. And I'm going to put my screen room back on, and I'll be coming out with an updated review on the screen room now that we've used it most of the summer, so stay tuned for that. Till next time, Ray from loveyouRV.com. Cheers, everyone.